stated emphatically that he wasn't coming to ask for money, but also to ensure that they continue with that fiscal discipline and get the economy back on track. My name is Michael Obodu, and this is live from Parliament, where we're bringing you live updates and coverage of the mid-year budget presentation.
Well, our Michael Obodu there bringing us that.
So live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Straight from Parliament, I am Alfred Ocansey. We'll settle for the issues this evening, and much of it about the mid-year budget review that has just been presented by the Finance Minister, Dr. Kasia Latofo-Singh. In fulfillment of the Public Financial Management Act, requiring that this be done, the Finance Minister presents a review of the first 6 months and then also projections into the next half of the year. That's what we heard the Finance Minister do for almost 2 hours of presenting this mid-year budget review details. And let's settle for a summary of the news now. Christabel Saxe-Trevor is here.
Thank you very much, Alfred. And we begin again with the Finance Minister, because Dr. Kasia Latofo-Singh has disclosed that the current government inherited a severely distressed energy sector burdened with annual financing shortfalls exceeding $1.5 billion. He made this known during the presentation of the 2025 mid-year budget review to Parliament earlier today. Dr. Latofo-Singh described the energy sector as one that was bleeding upon assumption of office, citing unsustainable debts, poorly structured power purchase agreements, and inefficiencies that continue to weigh heavily on the economy. He also says that the COVID-19 health recovery levy will be scrapped as promised by the NDC. Presenting the mid-year budget, he said the move will be effected through a new VAT amendment bill. Now, on the other side, the Minority Caucus is demanding immediate and decisive action from President John Mahama following what it describes as orchestrated and coordinated electoral violence that marred the July 11 parliamentary rerun election in Ablekuma North. The MPs snapped the Finance Minister's mid-year budget review and instead embarked on a tour of key institutions delivering petitions demanding swift presidential intervention. In a petition presented to the presidency on Thursday, signed by Deputy Minority Leader Patricia P.J., the NPP MPs accused state security institutions of complicity and call for the urgent dismissal of key public officials who allegedly endorsed or encouraged the violence. And away from all of this, a man in his 50s identified as Balim Bogma has been shot dead by armed robbers on the Boli Bamboy Highway while his son is in critical condition. The two were traveling from Sunyani to Laura for their late mother's burial when they were attacked near Taselema. A robbery hotspot worsened by poor road conditions. Eyewitnesses and residents are calling for urgent road repairs and increased police patrols to prevent further attacks, including reports of sexual assaults on female passengers. We've got a lot more, and these on our website, 3news.com. Do well to visit there. Alfred.
Thank you very much. In some 7 minutes after 5, it's live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're also on Kesme 107.1 in Tamale and on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. Let's get into some more stories this evening here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, and straight on the back of the mid-year budget review presented by the Finance Minister. Just some minutes ago, almost 2 hours of the mid-year budget review presentation, and the Finance Minister, Dr. Kasia Latofo-Singh, during the presentation of the mid-year budget review not too long ago, gave indication of what the direction of the country will be in terms of how the next 6 months is going to be, and the government has touted the significant economic gains recorded over the past 6 months, attributing the progress to sound economic management and fiscal discipline. The 2025 media budget review that was presented to Parliament by Dr. Kasela Tuforsing, he noted that the current administration inherited an economy in dire condition. According to him, the Mahama-led government was handed an economy saddled with high debt levels, unsustainable deficits, and negative growth indicators. However, he emphasized that through prudent policies, fiscal discipline, and targeted interventions, the economy is gradually recovering. Key macroeconomic indicators, he said, are stabilizing, and Ghana's economy, in terms of the prospects, look increasingly positive heading into the second half of the year. This is what the Finance Minister said. Take a listen.
Speaker, this review is more than a fiscal update. It is an account of what we inherited and the positive results of our stewardship in the last 198 days. Mr. Speaker, following his re-election with an overwhelming mandate, President John Mahama inherited an economy in deep distress, far worse than what we had imagined. The economy was marked by large imbalance with huge MDA arrests, massive debt, weakened institutions, and heightened public anxiety. Since 2023, the debt in the cocoa and energy sector had in particular posed significant fiscal risk to the Ghanaian economy. The Ghanaian private sector and the business community looked on in despair. Public trust was completely eroded, the national spirit was broken, and the foundation of our economy had sunk even deeper. Mr. Speaker, the budget deficit had ballooned because of reckless commitment and wasteful spending. The indebtedness of the government had culminated into state insolvency. The impaired balance sheet paralyzed almost every single state enterprise. High cost of living and inflation impoverished large segments of the population, eroding the real value of their income and savings. Right Honorable Speaker, the mismanagement of our public finances by the previous administration led to a devastating haircut through the DDEP, which denied pensioners and middle class their lifetime savings, their livelihood, and in fact, their dignity. Mr. Speaker, Eurobond holders also suffered painful haircuts, severely affecting Ghanaian businesses and financial institutions. Soaring interest rates crowded out essential spending on education, health, and infrastructure. Right Honorable Speaker, the Ghana cedi depreciated against all major currencies to levels never seen before, making it the worst performing currency in the world. Public sector corruption reached an all-time peak. As President Mahama said, the whole of Ghana was indeed a crime scene. Mr. Speaker, investor confidence waned considerably, significantly reducing investment inflows. The public debt reached unsustainable levels. The unemployment situation worsened, which made it difficult for Ghanaians to find decent jobs. Many micro, small, and medium enterprises collapsed under the weight of economic mismanagement. Right Honorable Speaker, to compound all this, the country suffered credit rating downgrades by all three major credit rating agencies, placing Ghana firmly in default or junk territory, never seen in the history of Ghana.
As Dr. Kasela Tuforsing there also, he said, with good policy interventions, the economy has started experiencing a quick turnaround.
Right Honorable Speaker, the recent IMF Executive Board affirms this new economic management model, noting that faced with large policy slippage and reform delays at end 2024, the new NDC administration had taken bold corrective actions to maintain the program on track. Right Honorable Speaker, the IMF further noted that these corrective actions, combined with continuous structural reforms and an improved external sector, are expected to result in economic stability, resilience, and inclusive growth. Mr. Speaker, we streamlined and increased investment in education, health, agriculture, and infrastructure, as well as employment. In fulfillment of our major manifesto pledge, we established the Ghana Gold Board through Act 1140 to accumulate foreign exchange to support the stability of the Ghana cedi. We have restored coordination between the Ministry of Finance and the Bank of Ghana to ensure a cohesive and integrated approach to economic policy making across relevant institutions. Mr. Speaker, in less than 200 days, we have brought back clarity, certainty, stability, and purpose to our economic policy direction. Right, Honorable Speaker, we have made significant progress. The signs of recovery are obvious, evident, noticeable, visible, tangible, and they are being felt. Mr. Speaker, Ghana's fiscal position has significantly improved. The primary balance on commitment basis posted a surplus of 11.1% of GDP at the end of June 2025, beating the ambitious 0.4% surplus target for the same period. Right, Honorable Speaker, the overall fiscal deficit on commitment basis was 0.7% of GDP, outperforming the target of 1.8% at the end of June 2025. Mr. Speaker, inflation has reduced significantly from 23.8% at the end of December 2024 to 13.7% at the end of June 2025. Mr. Speaker, it's important to note that this is the lowest since December 2021 and marks 6 months of continuous decline. Interest rates are declining with a drastic drop in Treasury bill rates. The 91-day Treasury bill rate has reduced from 27.73 in December 2024 to 14.73 in June 2025, a decline of over 1,300 basis points. Mr. Speaker, the 182-day T-bill rate has reduced from 28.43% in December 2024 to 15.34 in June 2025, a decline of another 1,300 basis points. Mr. Speaker, the 364-day T-bill rate has also reduced from 29.95 in December 2025 to 15.76 in June 2025, marking a decline of over 1,400 basis points. Gross international reserves has significantly improved, Mr. Speaker. The Bank of Ghana accumulated $11.12 billion, covering 4.8 months of import at the end of June 2025. And this compares to $8.98 billion, covering a 4 month of import as at end December 2024. Mr. Speaker, the Ghana cedi has demonstrated exceptional resilience and strength in recent months. At the end of June 2025, the Ghana cedi appreciated by 42.6% against the US dollar, 30.3% against the British pound, and 25.6% against the euro. This is a significant reversal compared to the same period in 2024 when the cedi depreciated by 18.6%, 17.9%, and 16.0% respectively. Mr. Speaker, so far we have almost reversed all the cedi depreciations in the year 2022, 2023, and 2024. Mr. Speaker, it is important for us to note that it is the first time that this level of appreciation has been recorded in the 60 years history of the Ghana cedi. Rating agencies, which once classified our sovereign creditworthiness as junk, are beginning to upgrade our ratings. Fitch Ratings upgraded Ghana's long-term foreign currency issuer default rating to B- with a stable outlook from restricted default on the 17th of June 2025. The IMF program is back on track with the successful conclusion of the fourth review by the IMF Executive Board on the 7th of July 2025, which immediately triggered the disbursement of $367 million United States dollars. Right, Honorable Speaker, beyond the numbers, this is a story of sound leadership, better economic management, and a restoration of hope to a nation once in despair.
As the Finance Minister, Dr. Kasia Latoforsen, there. You heard him outline the fact that Ghana is indeed experiencing steady rise in the economic indicators. Government says did not come in to seek extra funds, and during this media budget review says it's not asking for additional money from the Appropriations Act. They maintain the following macroeconomic targets: overall GDP growth rate of at least 4%, non-oil GDP growth rate of at least 4.8%. Julius Jima is a tax analyst and is joining us on the telephone. Mr. Jima, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Alfred.
Now, hearing the Finance Minister clearly give a positive outlook, as has been affirmed by Fitch, the IMF, and then also underscoring the fact that indeed we are not out of the woods as yet, but then again there is some relative hope. Did this media budget review answer the question about the continuous consolidation of our fiscals, as well as balancing that policy act with spending so as to grow the economy?
Well, Alfred, good evening to your viewers and listeners across the country. Thank you so much for having me and for the opportunity. I think that watching the Finance Minister this afternoon, what I can say is that I saw a determined Finance Minister who wants to do something for the country or for his country. Yes, all the results and achievement that has been reported by the Finance Minister clearly shows what is happening with our economic outlook. And it's no surprising that we are recording all these gains with respect to our macroeconomic indicators as well as the fiscal. And one of the things that I want to say to, not to praise him too much, but what he has, really stuck to is being prudent in the management of our expenditures. And I think that he's doing so well with that regard. You could see that he doesn't want to, in accounting, we used to say that the prudence concept, if you see a loss coming, report the losses now. But if you see a gain coming, wait till we get to the year that we will record a gain. So all his reports that he churned out this afternoon shows that he's just being prudent. He doesn't want to, leave any stone unturned. He just wants to make sure that he's cutting down the expenditure, no borrowing. Just as you said, he's not asking for additional funding or any money. So overall, I think that it's been great listening to the Finance Minister this evening. And just as he said, with the discipline that we've always been advocating for, the financial discipline, and by being prudent, you can always achieve something better with regards to our economy. And that is what Honorable Atoforsen is doing. So I think that this evening I got the inspiration that our country will do better, and it goes in line with whatever international credit rating agencies the outlook that they are giving us. And I think that, just as you said, it has come as a result of continuous hard work and the discipline that we want to see in our financial management practices by being prudent as a matter of fact. And that is where we are today.
And I draw you into your area of expertise, that's the taxes, because he did indicate, in fact, that yes, they are not imposing new taxes, as we have seen in this particular media budget review. But then again, on the matter of the collection of taxes as well, we have seen going into the next half of the year some measures that are going to be introduced by the Ghana Revenue Authority. He says we're going to rely more on artificial intelligence and reduce human interference in the process of revenue management so as to cut down on corruption and so on. How are all of these measures that he talked about assuring enough to deal with the loopholes in the revenue collection system?
I think that every finance minister will be looking at where they would want to get money in the system. If we could recall from the main budget, the minister clearly said that, we are going to reform our key tax type, which is the VAT. VAT, which is a major tax contribution to this country, has gone through a cascading effect, tax on tax, levies upon levies, and then, the VAT rate has been changing over the years. Now, it does not really conform to what we usually say that a good characteristics of an effective tax system, which should be simplicity, it should be flexible, it should be convenient, certainty. So once you are building and be changing the VAT rate and adding on levies upon levies, you distort the whole process. There are a lot of businesses and individuals in a country that are not able to comply or even do compliance with overall tax, payments in the country. So when he said that they are in the process of going to reform the VAT, the entire VAT administration, and then the efforts that they have really put in place to make sure that they've engaged the IMF, I was happy about it because it was something that he said at the beginning of the year. So to say, in the mid-year review, we're expecting that he will make mention of, any VAT issues or VAT reform that he was just going to say. The idea that, certain taxes were being abolished, the minister also gave us indication of where he is going to fund them, the utilization of the tax refund account to support the abolition of state e-levy and then the betting tax. Going forward, clearly the minister reported the revenue figures and made mention of, the target that was set. They've really achieved it and they've even increased it. The minister accounted for the fact that custom duties were not doing well. And then at the end of the day, overall tax, with regards to income taxes and direct taxes, were also doing well. So we need to do the continuous public education. GRA has a role to play, sensitization exercises, engaging the media. Media has been doing well so lately by updating and telling Ghanaians anytime withholding taxes are due for Ghanaians, business, and individuals to pay. I hear them on radio and TV a lot. So GRA would have to lead this, path in making sure that we raise in more revenue for the government, in making sure that since he has the appetite of not going to borrow, the issue here is that if we don't borrow, then we should be able to come home and look at how we'll be able to restructure our taxes and make sure that we are generating enough within the system. But GRA has to do a lot. He was talking about, with regards to custom duties, the issues that is going on around the port, especially Tema Port, the loopholes in the system. This has been an old-aged problem for some time now, and it seems like sometimes it comes by improving, and then later it goes back. It all has to be that management and government should be able to look at, the issue of surveillance within our port system and make sure that people are being checked, especially the officers. People are being checked, goods entering into the country are properly checked, and make sure that people are able to declare their consignment and the goods that they are bringing in, so that the GRA officers will be able to look at it and compute and issue taxes that they have to pay. Of course, there is one enemy that is living amongst us, which is corruption. In doing so, management of the Ghana Revenue Authority should probably put in proper incentive system for officers so that they will not be enticed in making sure that they do anything untoward in making sure they raise the revenue for the state. So it's all of us are corporate social responsibility.
Right.
Just as the minister is putting in place those measures, we have to make sure that we support it, and at the end of the day, we're able to grow our revenue. And then the idea of going to borrow, which will come back to affect our macroeconomic indicators and, put us in a bad state, will be a thing of the past. Once we have more revenue, we'll be able to support with government allocations and initiatives that the government is doing, and that will come back to help the country a lot.
Thank you very much. Mr. Julius Jima is a tax analyst, and Professor Patrick Asumi also monitored this media budget review presentation. He's joining us on the telephone. Prof, good evening. Thank you for joining us. Hello, Prof.
Yes.
Great. Thank you for joining us. I mean, you hear the finance minister talk about the VAT flat rate says will be removed. COVID-19 levy says will be removed. There are no specific timelines to it. But then again, this is the second time we are hearing this. Were you expecting some specifics as to when exactly this will be removed off our books?
Well, actually, I thought that I had the specific timelines. Anyway, I am talking from the point of view of reading the full statement itself, not the statement to the speech. So when you read the statement, it's clear. He says that the IMF, they finished the consultation with the IMF. They are currently doing stakeholder engagement. And I believe he said by October, a bill will be ready. And the final detail will be included in the 2026 budget. That's what he said about that. Of course, Ghanaians would have hoped that would have been completed by now so that the relief from the COVID-19 levy would have happened, but it wasn't to be. But I think it's important that they take the...
Hello, Doc.
19
Right.
levy. So, but clearly, I think if you read the full statement itself, not the speech, you find the details there.
One of the criticisms against this administration is that they've not been spending really within the last 6 months, and so to talk about this kind of macroeconomic indicators trending towards the positives is all because of the fiscal consolidation policies that have been put in place and been implemented, all as a result of the IMF policy or this program that we're under. And so to the extent that they are not spending, if they start spending, we would not see that much of the growth that we've recorded over the last 6 months. The finance minister sought to debunk that particular position. He says that, for instance, the 2.9 billion cedis has been disbursed to the District Assembly's Common Fund, 2.7 billion cedis to SNIT to safeguard pensions, 9.1 billion cedis to the energy sector to ensure a stable electricity supply, 5 billion cedis to clear outstanding arrears. Does this answer that question by for instance, the minority who had raised this particular point against the government touting its achievement over the last 6 months?
Well, I think the issue about not spending, we can break it into two. We can break it into, first, how much was budgeted, which was a substantial restraint from what we have seen in the past. So that's one way of looking at the argument that the government is not spending. If you look at the spending that we were doing in the past versus what we are doing now, this is a complete restraint. The other part is saying, well, even what you have budgeted, are you spending it? Now, when you look at the breakdown of the numbers that were presented, clearly there's been some underspend on what was projected for the first half of the year, but actually it's not that much. So on that score, you probably have to agree with the finance minister, because it's not like the spending, the budget, they spend less than 10% or even 15% of what they're supposed to do. Actually, they haven't. They have been spending. To the extent, I think when it comes to compensation, they actually overspend, only marginally. But overall, when you put everything together, of course, the actual spend is a little lower than projected, but no, it's only marginally lower. So actually, I think what people are talking about is that, don't forget, there are a lot of arrears. There are a lot of expenses that the government said, I'm going to audit. I think that's where mostly the argument about not spending usually sits. Because, and he did admit that they're almost done with the audit, the audit of the arrears. And I think he said they're about 87% done or so. So I think that's what people say, we should start paying those ones up. Then perhaps some pressure will come.
I see. And Dr. George Domfe is also joining us. Domfe, I thank you. On that same path of that position that had been held by some that, look, this administration, to the extent that they have been fiscally prudent over the last 6 months, meeting the IMF program's targets, then essentially if they start spending, then we will see the real state of the economy. You hear Professor Patrick Asuming make the point that it's contrary to what the facts are. This administration has been spending over the last 6 months, and the evidence is what was captured in the finance minister's presentation today. Do you still hold on to that position?
Thank you very much, my brother. Let me say very good evening to our listeners, especially my friend Professor Asuming. Yeah, I think I agree with him. He was explaining why people have said we've not been spending. And if you want to look at the expenditure in general, my brother, since May 2023 that we started the IMF program, expenditure started going down. Indeed, because of that, 2023, IMF projected that the economy would grow 1.5 because of the huge expenditure cuts. And fortunately, we had 2.9% growth, and the year 2024, they made projections around 4%. We have 5.7%. It's all because of the cuts in the general expenditure. And so, if you listen to Prof very well, and I agree with him, he was explaining that the whole thing had to do with commitment basis, not on cash basis. On cash basis, yes, you would see that they have spent because salaries they pay workers all the time. So whatever that they are supposed to do on cash basis, they've done that. But as far as the IMF program is concerned, the agenda is now on commitment basis. And so if you look at the budget itself, the total expenditure of the projected expenditure for the year was 270.9 billion Ghana cedis on commitment basis. And today they have revised it downward slightly to 269, I think, 0.4 or so. And so that is where we are talking about. On commitment basis, that is where the arrears, the contractors' arrears, and all those things are. Indeed, if you are going to spend about 270 billion, and as we speak, you haven't even spent anywhere closer to 100. We are already in the seventh month of the year, about ending. And so clearly, on commitment basis, we haven't spent, especially with what my brother explained, now they are auditing, all the contracts that they came to meet, they are auditing the contracts in order to commit themselves to whatever that should go on. So they are doing the auditing to see that everything that was done, the contract were genuinely, given, following the rules of the games. And that this is not the first time it is happening. Almost any time there's a change of government, we see those things, right? And so now, on commitment basis, we are not spending, but on cash basis, I agree with Professor assuming we have spent, because my salary has always been paid. And our government is honoring all the, expenditure obligations as far as the cash is concerned. But when it comes to the commitment, where the arrears and all those money that are supposed to go to the contractors come in, that is where the shortfall is.
But if you look at the finance minister's verdict of how the first 6 months has been, the fact that, government is actually not even seeking extra funds, added $2.4 billion to reserves without any external borrowing. And then also after the audit of the payroll, some 14,000 ghost names or ghost workers have been expunged, 150 million cedis in irregular payments have also been recovered, and all that has been done at least over the 6 months period. What would be your verdict? Let me say, yes, a lot of positive things are happening, but unfortunately, because of the way we do politics in this country, sometimes the attributions, we fail to give the right attributions. For example, if you are talking about the gross international reserves, the old government left 8.9.8. It was just 2 million short of 9 billion, US dollars. Today, that has gone up to over 11 billion, and we have a 4.8 month import cover. That is very good. But you ask yourself, where is this money coming from? We didn't borrow, yes. We haven't borrowed so much from the external markets. But so the question is, why are we doing so well? Just last week or so, cocoa brought in 1.6 billion US dollars. I don't think if you are talking about cocoa bringing money today, it is the cocoa that we just sold. This is cocoa we sold during the last quarter of last year. So if that money is coming, and we all know the commodity prices have gone up, cocoa prices have gone up on the global market, gold prices have gone up on the global market. And if significantly as a result, you get so much, it's not so much because you are doing something so special that maybe the previous government couldn't do. Most of what is happening is because, the cocoa that we are buying today is not what is bringing the money. Or cocoa that we are harvesting today is not what has brought the 1.6 billion.
The cocoa that was harvested last year, indeed, is what has brought, the 1.8 billion, and that significantly has pushed the reserves over 11 billion, which is 4.8 month import cover. That is very good. But the question I'm asking, the projections is that by the end of the year, we should keep not less than 3 month import cover. If today you have 4.8, I was expecting that you would say that at the end of the year, we want the import cover to even get better. But we are talking about 3 months instead of the current 4.8 months that we are having. To suggest that most of what is happening, we don't have control over. The other time, we talked about the gold inflows. And yes, if you look at the ton, last year, around the first quarter of the year, we've already been able to export, 26 tons of gold, compared to now 51. That is true. But if you pick the gold data and you want to look at what has been happening, at the time President Mahama was president, the total gold inflows to this country hovered around 3 billion, about 3.6. I'll send you this data, Alfred, about 3.6. But it went up gradually to about 4. So almost every year, it has been going up by about 1 billion until 2022, when the total gold inflows hit 7 billion. Now, 2023 hit 7 billion. 2024, it went up to 11.6 billion. That was the inflows from gold. Over 4 billion extra. But 2024, we didn't have gold board. 2024, we didn't have all those. So you ask yourself, why was it 2024 we had that huge, incremental jump? A lot of things are happening. I have followed and I've asked why all these things are happening, and I've heard a lot. Maybe some of them I can't.
Well, so are you saying that the impact of gold board, as was touted by the finance minister today, it's not really what it is?
Because you see, that's why I'm saying attribution gold board. Alfred, when was it established? April, and I'm saying that last year, compared to the gold inflows, 2017. Last year gold prices were very down, and yet the gold inflows was 11.6 billion, compared to the previous year's 7.6. And so the question I'm asking is that if you look at the history, the last 10 years or so, you will see that almost every year the gold inflows have been going up by 1 billion. Why is it that just 1 year, between 2023 and 2024, it went up by 4 billion? And that is why whatever that pushed the extra 4 billion for last year is what is still working to push it today. This year the addition will go to about 7-8 billion. If you look at where we are, we are now. So we have to be very careful when we are, talking about the attributions. A lot has happened. I'm happy that the economy is doing very well. No doubt about it. They have done well. Continue with the programs they came to meet. Yeah, that is very excellent. But nobody is fighting anybody. And so I would have wished, if you listen to the finance minister, a greater part of his speech, he was blaming. It was about how horrible things were and how they have been able to do things. This story we had when he first read the first budget. He talked so much about it, and so and okay. I didn't like it when he was trying to say that 2022 the main reason why the economy had a problem was because of reckless expenditure and corruption. If you do that, you are not being fair to Ghanaians, because we all know why we got to where we are. And he goes on to say that when he $1 to 1 cedi was 17 cedis, and today it is 10.4. That is a lie. At the time President Akufo-Addo was handing over to President Mahama, that very day, $1 was going for 14 cedis, 70 pesos. And it's a bank exchange rate. Anybody listening to me, you go to Bank of Ghana and check. All these things were there. And then you go on to say that you've been able to reverse the depreciation that CD suffered in 2022, 2023, 2024.
So what's your challenge?
Today, $1. Hello.
Yes, I was going to ask, what's your challenge if the finance minister diagnoses the state of the economy as he inherited was as a result of reckless spending and corruption? Are you saying that that is not the case? That the previous administration did not spend beyond its means that got us to where we got to because of
please, I haven't said that. Please, I haven't said that. Please, I haven't said that a reckless expenditure and corruption wasn't a problem. It has always been the usual problem.
No,
corruption. Please let me make a point. I beg you,
right.
Alfred. I beg you, Alfred. Are you there?
I'm here. I'm listening to you.
So corruption and reckless expenditure, these two devils have always been a problem, but they were not the significant reason why 2022 we had the problems we had. 2022 at the beginning of the year, we all know what happened. We had 9.9 billion as reserves, But ask me, why is it that around August we had less than 2 billion as reserves? Those were the days. U.S. and all our trading partners. U.S. has experienced the highest inflation in 40 years. Germany, the highest in 70 years. There was serious oil, crude oil. 1 barrel was going for 121. Today it is 69. 68.
Okay.
It was $121. And so all these things meant that the BDCs, for example, we need more dollars to import, the crude. A lot of things happened. We cannot say that we were not part of the global economy. This thing affected almost every economy anywhere in the world. And so if you think that ours is because of these two problems, then today these two problems are still with us.
Right.
Reckless expenditure and corruption, they have been with us since time immemorial, and they are even, as I'm speaking to you today, somebody is doing something, that is affecting or deepening corruption. So we have to be very careful the way we do attributions. We are just hoping that what happened in 2022 doesn't happen. But what happened in 2022, if it happens today, the economy cannot stand it.
Okay.
Indeed.
Well, thank you. We've got to go. Yes.
Israeli and Iranian.
The conflict that impacted on the crude oil price on the world market. Yes, I get that understanding. Here's what we'll do. Because of time, as we go on in the coming days, this budget is going to be a major part of our conversation. So, Dr. George Dunfe, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate your time. He's a lecturer at the University of Ghana, an economist as well. And this is what the finance minister said when it comes to policies to sustain the economic recovery as we're experiencing now.
Mr. Speaker, the progress we are making in our economic reforms and debt restructuring efforts has been recognized internationally. On the 16th of June 2025, Fitch rating upgraded Ghana's long-term foreign currency issuer default rating to B-, with a stable outlook from restricted default, the first time since 2021. Fitch cited significant exchange rate appreciation, declining debt levels, strong nominal GDP growth, increased reserve accumulation, and normalized relationship with external creditors as key drivers. Right, Honorable Speaker, to sustain these gains, we will, among others, do the following. We'll maintain fiscal discipline through continued implementation of prudent policies to promote fiscal and debt sustainability. We will continue the aggressive revenue mobilization by strengthening tax collection systems and broadening the tax base to increase domestic revenue without overburdening the citizens. So, Speaker, we will accelerate structural reforms in public financial management, including transparency and accountability measures to improve efficiency and reduce corruption. The Speaker will strengthen monetary policy framework, and the central bank will lead this to complement the effort that we are doing. Mr. Speaker, we will diversify the economy through investment in sectors beyond traditional export to reduce the vulnerability to commodity price shocks and continue to maintain strong relationship with our international financial institutions and development partners to support ongoing reforms and assess technical assistance. Mr. Speaker, it's expected that other rating agencies, namely S&P and Moody's, will follow suit, given the remarkable progress we are making in ensuring economic stability and promoting inclusive growth. Right, Honorable Speaker, this is just the beginning. We are determined to do better than B-. Ghana indeed deserves better than B-.
As the Finance Minister, Dr. Katsila Tuforcing there, let's go to the minority in Parliament. They boycotted the media budget review presentation earlier today and engaged in another exercise. What happened?
They formally petitioned President John Mahama, calling for urgent executive action over what it describes as a grave erosion of democratic norms, describing the Ablekuma North parliamentary rerun and an escalating environmental emergency caused by illegal mining, known as Galamsey. In a statement submitted to the presidency and invoking Chapter 6 of the 1992 Constitution, the caucus accused government-affiliated officials and elements of the security services of either complicity or willful neglect in the face of violence that marred the 11 June by-election. According to the minority, the Ablekuma North rerun meant to restore parliamentary representation. It was instead marred by coordinated violence, impersonation of security forces, and brutal attacks on journalists, electoral officials, and opposition figures. The petition cites multiple incidents at polling stations, including St. Peter's Society Methodist Church, Awoshi DVLA, and Asiedu Jedu Memorial School. Among those reportedly assaulted were former ministers Mavis Hawa-Kumsin and Akwat Newman, as well as parliamentary candidates Anekuya Owusu-Efriye. They alleged that marks individuals dressed in brown security-style uniforms impersonated police officers and clashed violently with the Ghana Police Service, raising concerns of a premeditated attempt to undermine the electoral process. The minority further condemned what it called the public glorification of violence by senior government appointees, Dr. Hannah Bisu, CEO of the Minerals Development Fund, and Mr. Malik Basintale, who's acting CEO of Youth Employment Agency, whose public statement endorsed and even celebrated the violence. Well, this is what they did earlier today, Alfred.
Violence against the woman Is this how we want to portray Ghana to the international community? Ghana had a museum. Meanwhile, we just passed a affirmative action bill, which is an act right now. And the president talks about affirmative action. Professor Nana, Vice President, talks about that. But President Ocansey, it's on the one hand, we're pushing for the affirmative action.
But you also need a minority in Parliament to function. Now, if we don't hear anything, and it is business as usual, it is absolute silence, we are not going to hear anything. This is just the beginning of a series of actions we are going to stage in this country. But we won't do anything out of malice to undermine your governance. But as long as the threat of electoral violence keeps rearing its head, and our authorities seem to be at their wit's end, we'll continue to bring these matters into our attention until it is dealt with. So for and on behalf of the entire minority caucus, and by the way, Chief of Staff, our real name is the Mighty Minority. So we present this petition, I present this petition for and on behalf of the entire, respectfully, the entire minority. And we have also attempted, I'm sure the seat of government, you have all the videos of the violence, but we've also, just for the benefit of doubt, a recording of footages of the violence that reportedly occurred. We have presented this to you, through you, to His Excellency the President. We are confident that the dutiful action will be taken as it should. Grateful. Yes, of course.
So, thank you very much, Chief Whip. So, I received your petition on behalf of the Chief of Staff, the President. We'll do what to present it to him. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, so that's the minority when they presented the petition to the president earlier today. The Deputy Chief of Staff in charge of operations, Stanislav Dogbe, received the petition on behalf of the presidency earlier today. Also live here on Hot Edition, we're back with the latest in the world of business. Bismarck Owusa is standing by. Stay with us after this quick break.
finest tunes in sync with a soothing voice. 3 Lounge with AJ.
Are you tired of the same old routine? Need a break from the stress and chaos of everyday life? Well, step into the 3 Lounge, your world of absolute relaxation and great music with yours truly, AJ Akwako Sapon. Welcome to the best mid-morning show in the capital and beyond. This is 3 Lounge with yours truly, your radio princess, AJ Akwako Sapon.
Love it. I love it. It's great.
Kickstart your week with Monday motivation. Shake off the Tuesday blues and get ready for midweek mania. Take a trip down memory lane on Throwback Thursday and wrap up the week with Funky Friday with myself and Helen Appiah Ampufo. Plus, enjoy exciting celebrity interviews, insightful conversation, engaging discussions on topics that matter, and there's a boatload of fun and easy activations that reward and appreciate you, our loyal listener.
If you are listening, we're manifesting money into your pocket this morning.
Don't miss out on the excitement. Tune in to 3 Lounge every weekday morning from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. with AJ Akwako Sapon, only on 3FM 92.7.
It's my number one.
92.7 3FM, your urban lifestyle radio.
to improve efficiency and reduce corruption. We will strengthen monetary policy framework, and the central bank will lead this to complement the effort that we are doing. We will diversify the economy through investment in sectors beyond traditional export to reduce the vulnerability to commodity price shocks, and continue to maintain strong relationship with our international financial institutions and development partners to support ongoing reforms and assess technical assistance. It's expected that other rating agencies, namely S&P and Moody's, will follow suit, given the remarkable progress we are making in ensuring economic stability and promoting inclusive growth. Right, Honorable Speaker, this is just the beginning. We are determined to do better than B-. Ghana indeed deserves better than B-.
And that was Finance Minister Dr. Kasiela Tuforsen ending the business news on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Ausa. For more business stories, please check out our website, 3news.com. Thanks for your company.